Big 12 Media Days means football season is almost here.
Last year was an exciting year for us to take a big step forward as a program.
We're excited to be back.
The 2023 season is less than 7 weeks away. There are some big-time questions remaining to be answered.
You guys are losing production of Deuce Vaughn.
What have you seen from Jalen as far as just his further development?
Can the Wildcats repeat as champions of the Big 12?
I still think that we're the hunter.
All-American O-lineman Cooper Beebe is back. Daniel Green and Will Howard seem primed for big years, but are the Cats still being counted out?
Glad we're not picked first, to be honest.
We love when people don't believe in us. It just puts a big chip on our shoulder, and you don't want to see us with a chip on our shoulder.
For the Jayhawks, they're on a mission to prove that 2022 was no fluke.
We're still steadily making these strides and making progress. We're not taking any step backwards.
The Big 12 preseason Offensive Player of the Year got a little more attention at this year's Media Days.
These are Giuseppe.
But can the defense do their part?
We're going to make sure we go out in the season and just, try to compliment them in the best way we can.
One of the best bowl game performances of all time.
An instant classic to hoist the trophy.
The 2022 season is in the rearview mirror. A new year, 2 new teams. What will this season hold for the Jayhawks and the Wildcats?
K-Nation is on the air.
Daniel Green, K-Nation, we're here with Kobe Savage. Man, peace out.
K-Nation, sponsored by 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
Well, you heard it there. Rich Miller and Will Howard are going to help us break all of that down. One-on-one, they explain how their squads are elevating the standard for this season.
And Brett Yormark, he's been a busy man. What new plans he has for the Big 12 this year and why he's spending time on Capitol Hill to get things done.
And no sport is taking a break right now. K-State women's golf has a new leader, why he wanted to continue his career in Manhattan, Kansas. Welcome to K-Nation. I'm Lainey Gerber.
And I'm Glenn Kinley. If you watch our evening newscast on 27 News, you know Lainey and I were running around like crazy all week at Big 12 Media Days. We had a lot of fun down in Arlington, Texas, and we're going to start with some key takeaways from there. K-State bringing back some key players, and they also don't care, or they say they don't care about the Big 12, the preseason polls and the rankings and all that. And I think they try to ignore it, but it might add a little fuel to the fire.
No, all these guys are on social media. They know
they see it. They see it for sure. Hey, I think the Cats enjoy being the underdogs. They like it. They like being counted out.
If you will.
The Undercats. Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, a key talking point of the offseason is the older guys K-State is bringing back, the offensive line and all over the field. That's no coincidence. Head coach Chris Kleiman says his program is designed that way. They bring in guys and they want to develop those guys.
Successful teams are ones that have 3, 4, and 5-year guys in the program that can express and teach the culture to the younger guys, that can take ownership, because we're a player-led team when coaches aren't around. And we have 9 6-year guys this year. A lot of stories of guys and going somewhere else, saying, I've done my work here, I'm going to go try to play at school X, Y, or Z. All 9 of those guys knocked on my door or called me and said, Coach, I want to come back and play for K-State.
Come back and play for K-State. If that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what will. Hey, and if you do so, you might just get a Big 12 championship ring. Hey, one returning guy, Daniel Green, you see him on your screen there. He is going to be big this year. You heard it at the beginning. Even with the championship ring, he thinks the Cats still maybe getting slept on a little bit. So I had to ask him, do you feel like people are doubting you guys?
Probably, and we love that, though. The big message last year, a lot of the games was like that they don't believe in us. And we love when people don't believe in us. I know it sounds weird, like a lot of people will want people to give you recognition. We kind of don't want no one to give us recognition. We kind of like being the underdogs because it just puts a big chip on our shoulder, and you don't want to see us with a chip on our shoulder.
Yeah, Daniel Green never fails to fire us up. We'd hate to see him with a chip on his shoulder.
Man.
We've actually seen what he's done with a chip on his shoulder.
Seriously.
He also said he wasn't concerned about an all Big 12 preseason snub, but I'm sure he is going to use that as the chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the thing is, he wasn't healthy all of last season. We knew that when we talked to him right after he decided to come back. He was playing in the games, but he wasn't 100%. He's hoping to get back to that level, and I think if he does, he's going to be really, really good.
Oh, absolutely. He said even this offseason he's been working on his field vision, which we always thought, or at least I always thought was great. So
yeah, it was already good, and he likes to deliver the big hits, which is one of my favorite things about football. So we're excited about that. Let's talk Jayhawks now. There's some pressure. Instead of just any success as a win, well, now the expectations are heightened for KU after a really good 2022 season where they tripled their win total from the previous year. The Jayhawks, though, seem to be thriving under this pressure, especially Jalen Daniels, I think. Head coach Lance Leipold, though, was quick to give some credit to offensive coordinator Andy Kotelnicki. This guy is the mastermind behind that Kansas offense that was so explosive last year. In fact, they were near the top of the country in many marks. Kotelnicki, well, he was a hot name floating around, and that's because he was so good that lots of schools probably wanted him, but Leipold says that keeping him in Lawrence, that is a big-time move for Jayhawk football.
This is the first time in 20 years the University of Kansas had the same set of assistant coaches coming back. And then, you know, so our stability and continuity holistically are going to be in a good spot. Andy and I have been together for over 11 years. Okay, I trust him. He's an outstanding coach, and he'll be a head coach someday. I don't know many coordinators that are getting 5-year contracts. That shows my faith, but also what he's earned as well.
And all eyes were on the Big 12 preseason Offensive Player of the Year, Jalen Daniels. We were there last year, but Daniels was quick to point out that all the cameras are on the Jayhawks now instead of them being left in the shadows. And rather than shying away from that spotlight, QB1 is embracing the little extra coverage.
I'm just glad that Kansas football is finally starting to get all this notoriety, this recognition, because, I mean, at the end of the day, we know what we're doing inside these buildings, and we have goals and aspirations to be able to do, you know, be able to get to the top of our ability and top of our power. If there's pressure on me, that means that, you know, I'm expected to do something. There's times a couple years ago where I would have wished that I've had pressure to do that.
Perhaps the quote of the week from Big 12 Media Days, pressure is privilege. That's what Jalen Daniels said. I think they need to put it on a T-shirt. Certainly a lot more pressure than they've had in the previous years. He is the first Big 12 preseason Offensive Player of the Year in KU football program history, but he doesn't seem too worried about his ability to back that up. He seems like he's ready to go.
Definitely. Consistency for both KU and K-State this year.
He's a confident guy. Well, it was more than just the stars this week. There was 4 players down there for each school, but we asked those 4 players about just about every other player on the team, and we asked the coaches about those guys as well. So here's some players that maybe after talking to these guys, we might think we'll have a breakout year. I'm going to go with the running backs. Might be the obvious pick. Daniel Highshaw, he had a really good start to the year last year, and then he wasn't healthy the whole season. And I think if you can get him fully healthy, him and Devin Neal, a great 1-2 punch. And then the K-State running backs, it's DJ Gins and Trayshawn Ward, who you're seeing video of right now. A heck of a 1-2 punch. People think they might not have the best running back room because you lose a guy like Deuce Vaughn, but they're still going to be pretty solid back there. Yeah,
and then for my K-State side, I have Marquise Siegel. He's a transfer from North Dakota State. There we go, one of the Dakotas. He had a lot of talk about him at Big 12 Media Days from Chris Kleiman and from his teammates. So he's going to be a great guy on defense. And then Spencer Lovell at KU, just a big guy to protect Jalen Daniels. Hopefully keep him healthy all year. We all know that a good team starts with a good O-line.
The O-line is huge, and Lance Leipold seemed to be confident that they're going to take a step in the right direction with that O-line.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about that too. Well, this time last year, we were just getting to know the Big 12's new commissioner, Brett Yormark, and it's safe to say we've seen just how ambitious he could be in 1 year.
Yeah, so what's in store for year 2? Yormark, of course, talked at Big 12 Media Days, and there's a lot to unpack, from conference expansion to NIL, 4 new teams. We know all this stuff. When Yormark said last year, the Big 12 is open for business, everyone got real fired up about that, and they thought, we're going to add 20 teams this year. They didn't do that, but he did clarify this year. He's saying if the Big 12 stays at 12 teams after OU and Texas leave, he's okay with that. It's all about quality over quantity. The conference is going to add schools if they find schools that they think are the right fit. And Yormark, believe it or not, has also spent time on Capitol Hill. He says federal legislation might be needed for NIL.
To create some uniformity to NIL. There's 32 states, and in many cases, very different interpretations. So federal preemption of state law is certainly something that's high on the list. And there are other components as well that go along with it.
He says it's not just the Big 12. He is working with other conferences in the NCAA. Just having different legislation on NIL when your conference spans different states can be very confusing. They're hoping to make that
it's a lot to unpack. It confuses us a little bit too.
Yeah.
Hey, some baseball for you. MLB draft this week. In fact, it started a week ago today, and then it was Monday and Tuesday as well. K-State shortstop Nick Goodwin drafted in the 7th round to Toronto in 3 years with Manhattan. He was named All-Conference honorable mention every season, and he finished with a career .273 batting average, not bad, and also 33 home runs. He's a KC kid.
Yeah, teammate Brady Day followed suit. The second baseman drafted in the 12th round to the Braves. He burst onto the scene this past year, batting at a .356 clip with 26 RBI. He was named to the Big 12 All-Tournament team.
And no Jayhawks drafted, but shortly after the draft, Colin Bumgardner signed by the Colorado Rockies, the 6th-year senior. He only spent 1 year in Lawrence with Dan Fitzgerald, but he was pretty solid. 3.62 ERA, 74 strikeouts this past spring, and that led to an all-conference selection.
Not bad.
Yeah, pretty good stuff. Hey, don't go anywhere. The best of this show, OK Nation, is still to come. We've got a lot to unpack. When there's a will, there's a way. I'm talking QB1 in Manhattan, Kansas. How Will Howard plans to lead the Cats to another Big 12 title.
But first, there is a lot of people moving in and out of the area. Get to know K-State's new women's golf coach and why one Jayhawk is leaving town.
Jefferson's is the perfect spot to watch the game. Come try our new Loaded Macs, or pull up a seat at the bar and match our cold draft beer with our new Mac Burger. Find us at 29th and Wanamaker in Topeka or online at jeffersons.com.
Ground Shaking Forces return to Heartland Motorsports Park for the Menards NHRA Nationals, presented by Pet Armor, August 11th through 13th, with breakout stars
Tony Stewart Racing has entered the history books,
and racing legends.
John Forrest collects his 155th career victory.
Don't miss out on 11,000 horsepower and 300-mile-per-hour racing action in Topeka. Kids 12 and under are free in general admission, and every ticket's a pit pass. Get your tickets today at NHRA.com for the NHRA Nationals, presented by Pet Armor, August 11th through 13th at Heartland Motorsports Park.
I was just wondering.
Enter query.
Should I use a robo?
Vacuum?
No. Actually, can I trust a robo?
Vacuum?
No. Are
robots taking over the world? Yes.
Never mind.
Sometimes humans are just more helpful.
Unlike a robo-advisor, we can put together a personalized plan.
Farm Bureau Financial Services. Insurance, financial planning, all in one place.
Topeka Auto Glass on 3, 1, 2, Topeka Auto Glass!
As the weather warms up and your to-do list grows, don't forget about your windshield.
Avoid costly replacements. Repair that chip before it's too late.
If you need a repair or an entire windshield replacement,
call Topeka Auto Glass, 785-438-8808.
Jefferson's is the perfect spot to watch the game. Come try our new Loaded Macs, or pull up a seat at the bar and match our cold draft beer with our new Mac Burger. Find us at 29th and Wanamaker in Topeka or online at jeffersons.com.
Well, Lenny checks out her shoes, K-State women's golf. Well, they parted ways with Coach Christy Knight this offseason after she led the program for for 27 years on the dot.
Still a long time.
Yeah.
The Wildcats made it official with the new guy. It's Stu Burke, but he isn't new to Manhattan or K-State women's golf. He served under Coach Knight as an assistant from 2014 to 2016. And he then spent time as an assistant at USC before leading the women's golf program at Tulane for 3 years. Despite success at both places, he tells us that it's the family at K-State that brought him back.
A lot of the people that were here before are here, but in more elevated positions. People stay here. People want to be at Kansas State, and everybody in those positions are excellent at what they do, and I think that's the most exciting part, just having the best of the best to work with on a daily basis. Being here as an assistant, it was tough to leave. Throughout my time away, I always kept Manhattan close to my heart. Ultimately, my goal was to get myself back here.
His last 3 stops were Manhattan, Los Angeles, and New Orleans, so we had to ask which is the best party spot, as all college kids are concerned, and he confirmed it is Aggieville.
Oh, yeah.
He also said to be able to party in LA, you have to have $, which a lot of us don't
Manhattan, Kansas, greater than sign, Los Angeles, California. Confirmed, never a doubt. Hey, as he joins the area, well, another player leaving the area. KU freshman Marcus Adams Jr. announced he's requesting release from his national letter of intent. He will reopen his recruitment.
Adams was a 4-star recruit. He's been on campus for just a couple of months now. In his social media post, he said he wants to find where he truly belongs and that this was a hard decision, but we wish him the best of luck.
Certainly. And we're not done yet on K-Nation.
No, we are not. Up next on K-Nation, Will Howard just went to his first Big 12 Media Days as he enters his first season as K-State's go-to guy. He tells us how this season could result in another conference championship. That's after the break.
Honey, what are you doing?
What? I just fixed the leaky chimney.
Call Certified Fireplace and Chimney. We fix leaky chimneys properly.
You think knowledge is a powerful weapon? Here, you'll have plenty of ammo. We turn intelligence into tactical success. Explore more than 200 careers at GoArmy.com.
Meaningful relationships built upon trust is a founding principle of the Trust Company. We help individuals and businesses create tailored financial plans and diversified investment strategies that adapt over time to your unique needs. Because we are independent, we can offer flexibility and creativity that many advisors and trust departments can't. If you aren't sure where to start or you're looking to make a fresh start, contact us today for a free consultation.
Sports!
We have everything
that you're looking for
at Play It Again Sports.
New and used sports and fitness equipment with used up to 50% off retail.
You can create your own discount by trading in and trading up. Sell us your gear and get cash on the spot or even get store credit.
Play It Again Sports has something for every athlete. All seasons, all sports, on any budget. We're open every day in the Fairlawn Plaza Mall.
Game on!
This week on Today, Oppenheimer director Christopher Nolan on the movie everyone's talking about. Plus, NBA star Steph Curry, Martha Stewart live in studio, and Dan and Shay perform live on the plaza. All this week on Today.
Do you have water damage from storms? Give Certified Fireplace and Chimney a call before the damage gets worse. We'll inspect your chimney inside and out. Then we'll make any necessary repairs. Don't wait until it's too late. Call Certified Fireplace and Chimney today.
Welcome back to K-Nation. Now, K-State quarterback Will Howard is done waiting. He spent time behind NFL quarterbacks Skylar Thompson and Adrian Martinez. Now he is the definitive QB1.
Yeah, he's been the starter before, but this is the first time he's entering the season knowing he's the starter, knowing he's the go-to guy. And I spoke with Howard down in Arlington at AT&T Stadium to hear about how he's embracing that mentality. This is his team. All right, well, first season entering the season as the starter. You were the starter at the end of the last year, but how has the mindset change going in, talking here at Big 12 Media Days and preparing to be the guy?
Yeah, like I was just saying, you know, being the backup, you try to say like you're going to prepare like you're the starter, but it's way different when you actually are. And going into this year, just my confidence level, you know, my comfortability with the coaches, with my teammates, everything is way higher than it was. And it's so cool to kind of finally be my team, because I've been waiting a long time for this, and I've put in a lot of work, and you know, my leadership as well it helps that too. So all of that stuff kind of factors into it, and it's been cool to kind of ride this journey along, and as much as it sucked at times, make it over to the other side, it's definitely been worth it.
You've had to have quite a bit of patience to finally get this to be your team. Like you said, a lot of guys would hit the portal in this day and age, to be honest. Why was that never an option for you?
Yeah, I mean, I love this place too much, and I love my teammates, and they believed in me, and my coaches believed in me, and you know, I wanted to prove them right. As much as I wanted to prove everyone wrong, I wanted to prove them right. And you know, I bet on myself, and I said, you know, I feel like I'm not going to go anywhere that I would like better than Kansas State. So, you know, and I believed in myself. I knew that, you know, when my time was going to come, I was going to be ready. And, you know, as much as it sucked those first 2 years, all that stuff I went through helped me so much. And I wouldn't be the player and person I am today without it.
How much did you learn from Adrian and from Skylar? Obviously, you would have loved to have been starting, right? But I'm assuming those guys taught you a ton that will impact your game, even though they're gone now.
Yeah, obviously both now NFL quarterbacks, like just the relationships that we had and the times that we shared outside of football. Obviously, they taught me a ton about just, you know, how they operate, how they do things, and you know, we would bounce ideas off each other. You know, and especially Adrian coming in last year, like he had a different perspective on a lot of things, and it was cool to kind of hear what he had to say, what he had to think, and kind of challenge him on some of his ideas. He would challenge me, and you know, it was really cool to kind of be around those guys, learn from them, learn how they operate, how they do things. And I wish them nothing but the best. I love those guys. Those are still my guys to this day.
I got to ask you this. I feel like everyone thought Will Howard was a really good running quarterback, and then we had Adrian Martinez next to you, and no one's a good running quarterback when you look at him, right?
Yeah.
Are people sleeping on the legs of Will Howard?
I mean, everyone thought last year that I was like some sort of stiff, and the first 2 years I was a running quarterback and couldn't throw the ball. Right. So this year I'm trying to, you know, hopefully balance that out a little bit,
and
be able to hurt people
with an insult for
Exactly. I need to, you know, I want to be able to hurt people with my legs and my arm this year.
Where have you grown your game the most compared to last year? What area do you feel like you've worked on a lot?
I definitely feel like my athleticism, for sure. I've been trying to work on, you know, just my quickness, my ability to move in the pocket, and then just the mental side of the game, you know, kind of developing that. And not just looking at my offense now, but looking at, you know, the grand scheme of things, looking at the defense, everything that can factor into the game, not just, you know, looking at the surface level stuff, trying to dive deeper and understand more like why we're doing things, not just what we're doing and how we're doing them, but why we're doing them.
Hit the weight room over the offseason? Social media says you're hiding in the suit right now, but social media says you've been in the weight room.
Yeah, I have been. We all have been. So, you know, Coach True is making sure that none of us are. We're all going to be coming back. You know, different animals. So.
Sweet. Well, all right. We appreciate your time. Best of luck in the fall.
Appreciate you.
Always appreciate the time of QB1, and it's great catching up with him.
Definitely. Well, the Jayhawk defense will be trying to stop Howard in the Sunflower Showdown, but all season will be big for them. Linebacker Rich Miller tells us how he is quarterbacking the defense right after a quick timeout.
Come out to the biggest party in the heartland, the Country Stampede. Headliners include Hardy, Lee Rice, and Cody Johnson. July 13th through 15th. Tickets and camping on sale now at countrystampede.com.
It's all the small things that make you, you. Show them off in a big way with incredibly detailed photos on the iPhone 14 Pro or the huge display of the iPhone 14 Plus. And now you can get it all at Cox Mobile with a plan that fits you based on the data you need. Instantly save $200 on the newest iPhones now at Cox Mobile. We're different because you're different.
Doughboys Pizzeria, a family restaurant in North Topeka, serving fresh pizza with our signature sauce, award-winning wings, awesome appetizers, and desserts, with outdoor dining and entertainment. Call or order online at doughboys.pizza.
At Prairie Band Casino, everyone plays a little differently. These guys are playing their cards right. He's trying to hit it big. They prefer to double down. But sometimes, you just have to go all in. Discover more ways to play your way.
New Sound visitors, they become our family because that's the least you deserve. Listening to loved ones, that's a gift. New Sound will help you give that gift to your loved ones because that's the least they deserve.
Come out to the biggest party in the heartland, the Country Stampede. Headliners include Hardy, Lee Rice, and Cody Johnson. July 13th through 15th. Tickets and camping on sale now at countrystampede.com.
A big question mark for KU this season is how its defense will catch up to that success that we saw on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, definitely. It did have some really good games last season and some really good halves of games, some really good overtime periods of games. Right. But it's just about putting it all together. So we caught up with Rich Miller at Big 12 Media Days to hear how it's all coming along. Rich, Big 12 Media Days finally here. Is this when you feel like football season is finally starting again?
Yeah, this is definitely when football season starting. You know, we getting a lot closer, and in 2 weeks we got camp. So, you know, this is right before camp, right before we get that last break, and it's go time from here.
Yeah, new coaching staff entering its third season. What are you expecting from the defense this year? The offense has been the talk of the team. Yeah. It's skyrocketed. What are you expecting from your group now?
I'm expecting us to hold up the standard that we held the first half of the season last year. You know, not allow too many rushing yards and, you know, be very stout up front. I'm expecting us to be a lot more physical, you know, gel together as a defense and just understand where everybody is at every time.
Without giving away too much, what is kind of new from Brian Borland in the defense this year?
Let's say aggressiveness.
Okay.
He's going to be a lot more aggressive, and we're going to be a lot more aggressive. So
I like it. And you're a linebacker. You're kind of, they refer to you guys as the quarterback of the defense. What are you expecting from yourself this year?
I'm just expecting to lead my team, as best as I can do. Just be out there, have fun, be more loose than I was last year, not think a lot, and just play my game. You know what I'm saying? I did a lot of extra training this whole offseason to be much better than I was last year. Like, I look at my film from last year and, like, what I learned already this year and just like, wow, like, I'm going to be a lot better. So I think if I can be a lot better, I'll definitely help make the defense a lot better.
You had some really good games last season. How much do you learn from those compared to the games that you feel like you didn't perform at your best?
Honestly, and this is me being honest, like genuine, all those games I think I could have did a lot better. Like, I could have did, it's so many things, like little things that I just worked on, and I watching those games, like, I'm going to do that better this year, and I'm going to be a lot better, trust me. Like, I had a lot of decent games, but I'll be a lot better.
You talked about you want to get better at trying to punch out the ball. How do you work on that in time for when the season starts?
Every practice, we do drills for it, and in live action in practice, I just do it as much as possible. It just takes a lot of reps. There's nothing you can, like, actually practice for without another body. So, anytime I get another body and they got a ball, I'm really just punching at the ball and try to work on technique to get it out.
And you followed Lance over here from Buffalo. How has it been just moving locations with him and still being with him in this new era of KU football that you have helped turn around?
It's been fun. It's been a long ride to me, honestly, because I went from at Buffalo, like, I wasn't even a captain. I was one of the ones following everybody, and since I got to Kansas, I've been the captain. I've been the one that everybody, even if I didn't have the title as a captain, I've been the one that everybody looked towards and everybody looked for answers. So it kind of changed for me. I used to say I went from being a player to a coach, but now I'm back to being a player. I feel like everybody understands it now, and we can all be loose players now.
Nice. New Big 12 this year. Is there an opponent you're looking forward to, or are you just looking forward to having a new schedule again?
I think we're just looking forward to Missouri State right now. We're just looking forward to Missouri State. We're trying to take it one game at a time. Honestly, I would say if we went to BYU, if we went there, I'll be looking forward to that game because I would like to see the scenery. But we're looking for Missouri State, and we're going to take whoever next after that.
All right, I like it. That's a good point to end on, Rich. Thank you so much.
For sure, thank you.
Another storyline we should be talking about besides the offense, how his leadership has really just grown
his
since
leadership
he's been
is
here.
huge, and he's so tight with Lance Leipold. He said he was holding his breath when Leipold took the job because he was at Buffalo with him, and then Coach asked him to come to KU. He was really happy.
Yeah.
All right, stick around. More K-Nation comes your way right after a quick break.
Fresh produce is the best produce. That's why at Dillon's, we invest in local farmers to bring you the freshest seasonal picks. So no matter how you shop, your local produce always tastes as fresh as it gets. Dillon's, fresh for everyone.
Properties that are for sale by owner are typically on the market longer, sell for significantly less, and leave a seller open to potential legal problems than those properties sold with the assistance of a realtor. A home may be the largest and most complicated transaction you'll ever make. Trust a realtor with the ethics, expertise, and education to act in your best interest and guide you through the process. Find homes for sale in Northeast Kansas and a Sunflower Association realtor member that's right for you at sunflowerrealtors.com.
Hi, this is Voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson. If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides direct connection to free, confidential, and compassionate support. When you call, text, or chat 988, you will be quickly connected to trained crisis counselors who will listen to your concerns, provide support, and connect you to additional resources if needed. For 24/7 non-judgmental support, just call, text, or chat 988.
Choose Interim Healthcare. We care, we're there.
Next live, Issa Rae from Barbie. Let's do this! Plus, from Claim to Fame,
Kevin and Frankie Jonas
are back. Monday morning at 11 on 27 KSNT.
The 27 News mobile app is designed with you in mind. Subscribing to notifications is easy. Download the 27 News mobile app today.
Fresh produce is the best produce. That's why at Dillon's, we invest in local farmers to bring you the freshest seasonal picks. So no matter how you shop, your local produce always tastes as fresh as it gets. Dillon's, fresh for everyone.
Hey, we talked about Grady Dick's draft night outfit. It was ridiculous. Jalen Daniels looked a little bit better, though, at Big 12 Media Days.
He had a ridiculous chain in the good way. He broke this out at Big 12 Media Days.
It's awesome.
That's an Apple Watch. That's his custom logo above it, and that watch plays his highlights.
Yeah,
over and over.
it shows off some of his own highlights. We got to work on getting us some of those with K-Nation highlights. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next Sunday. Have a good night.
I got to go out every day. I can't slack. Like, I got to earn my position.
It's just a really exciting time, for us as a team, and, I just feel a lot more energy than I did last year.
Daniel Green, K-Nation, here with Kobe Savage. Man, peace out.